It's a recap episode.
Please don't tell me. Are we on?
Yes.
I'm definitely not singing. That's all you. There's a reason why when you and I go to karaoke, my microphone is like suspiciously not working. The batteries have been removed. So we're going to leave the singing to you.
Yeah, except that was the bad singing. That was just being funny. Haha, maybe. So it's a recap episode, everyone.
Recap. Yes, it's been a very long time.
Ooh, it has been how many episodes?
30
episodes.
Well, when you had proposed to record the recap, you're like, it's been since August. And I'm like, boo-boo, it is December. That is a long time.
That is a very long time. We have done quite a bit since then.
Absolutely. What's standing out to you at the moment?
Right now, the main thing that is standing out is that we celebrated our 1-year anniversary.
Ooh, that was probably, I was like, kind of reminiscing, and I would probably say that was the episode where I had the most fun. And I think that was because we were celebrating a huge milestone. When you think about many podcasters don't even last, what did you say, past 5-6 episodes?
Something like that. It's like under 10 episodes.
And what are we at now?
This is episode 75.
So I think, one, that's a huge celebration, but I also really loved being able to invite and reconnect with previous guests. We had Megan and a few others show up, even if some people ghosted us. Cork bros.
Well, see, and I wrote that down over here. I wrote down Andrew McCorkle, dead to me, and then he got revived again.
He got revived, but now just even talking about it, I see you're all fired up. But it was so much fun. And I also really enjoyed being able to interact with audience members. It just made the episode fun. It was also really nice knowing that the work that we put in is appreciated and loved by people. So
yes, it definitely helps keep us going. And just as a funny aside, our trainer,
oh my God,
continues to bring up that episode, and every single time that we're recording, because he saw the Instagram version of it, and at the beginning of it we're dancing, and so every single time he'll start like shaking his butt, like, you guys doing that again on this episode? So it's a funny recurring
now
joke.
Granted, he's never listened to an actual episode, and so every time he jokes about us dancing on Instagram, I'm like, well, you're still talking about it, and that was back in August. So obviously what we're doing is working.
It had an impact.
It did have a lasting impact.
It really did. So I really enjoyed that. And I feel like, as we were just kind of going through, I was like, man, like, we just had so many different things happen from the last recap to now. And I know, just like personally, I had the high school reunion, and Ron was there as well. I've been doing more healing with, post my integration from my ayahuasca trip. Yeah, I mean, we did She Podcast, and that helped us revamp the podcast. And just, there's been so much.
There has been. So, I mean, one episode that stuck out for me was our episode with Megan, and that just happened off the cuff. As many of you may remember, Megan was our very first guest, and he actually had top surgery recently here in Las Vegas and agreed to kind of give us an update. So we dropped his episode just a couple weeks ago, but it was very impactful. And I was telling Cydia that this visit with him was different. You could tell as soon as he got off the plane that he was just happy and excited, and really just looking forward to this new journey for him. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to Megan's episode, I invite you to. It was just really great because you could hear a shift in the way that he was talking. His outlook seemed happier, and he was just talking about how, his top surgery was just very gender affirming, and that he's kind of exploring his role in his identity as a man. So that was just, and I love the questions that you asked too, because we happened to drop that episode during Trans Awareness Week. And, Cydia had asked the wonderful question about like, well, how are you going to be celebrating this now? And he's like, I hadn't really thought about that. Again, excellent episode. And that's kind of one that's standing out for me. And it's probably because it's most recent, because hello, 30 episodes is a lot to remember.
It is a lot to remember. But one of the things that's standing out just from us talking right now is that the episodes we're talking about had other people, but really a big thing in this last 30 episodes was it was just us, baby. Yeah. Like
we are the magic sauce.
We pulled back from doing a lot of interviews, and we will be more strategic with those going forward. That was just something that has been intentional on our part, because we wanted to find a better, maybe filter is the right word, or clear up our message of really living this empowering life. And so I really feel like going to She Podcast helped us with that.
Oh, it absolutely did. And I like that you bring it up, because we're talking about, even when we initially started the show, I mean, the concepts were the same. We were looking at celebrating and exploring stories of change. But why, we're talking about change, but why wouldn't the podcast change too? Just like we as humans evolved, the podcast did. And so I think that what was really cool was that you and I both kind of just like had this feeling without really even expressing it to one another that the tone of the podcast was changing, whether it's because we were doing some, growth here on the podcast, some healing. But, when we went to She Podcast, we kind of it just felt like, yeah, this was the time to make that shift. And I felt like the She Podcast really provided us with the tools to start to implement the changes that we wanted for the podcast.
Yeah, because I think we were already there. Mm-hmm. We were already starting to talk about different things that we wanted to do and how, I think it does make sense that the podcast would change, because we're changing. I'm definitely not the same person that I was a couple weeks ago. Like things are constantly evolving, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about this medium is that we get to set the rules. And so that has been one of the things where we've just said, we want to be more intentional with our guests. Bringing Megan back made a lot of sense. Having guests come up and give us some of their time. Casey Jordan came back and did a mini episode with us. That was a lot of fun. And to be able to be intentional with who we bring into our space. So I'm really excited about that, and just continuing to evolve.
Well, you talk about intention, and I think that's really important, because, another thing that we set forth and was that instead of trying to, we try to batch our episodes because, we work full time, but it was really like, where's the energy moving us right now? What topics are we most passionate about in this moment? And what can we really speak to? And I feel that even in listening to our previous episodes, where maybe we're recording several weeks out and it's just, topics to talk about, but it wasn't something we were passionate about, I could feel the energy shift. And I feel that by making this intentional shift to talking about topics that are bubbling or surfacing it for us, even if it's not necessarily something that's relevant, but something that we're passionate about, I think that really shows or gets picked up on air.
Yes. And I think that you guys hopefully have noticed that.
I'm spouting it off like
yeah. I think you have. I think we're excited about it, and we certainly get our juices flowing in different ways because we're a bunch of nerds. and it's just a lot of fun to be able to share things. And I think that that's one of the really cool parts about this medium is being able to share that knowledge to a really wide audience of people. And you guys have been here, and a lot of you guys have been here from the beginning. So we're really excited about that and really appreciative about that.
But thankful.
Yeah, but we're not the only ones who've had growth, right? Like Ron's career is taking off.
Wow.
He is, by the time this episode drops, he would have directed some commercials for the state of Colorado, some PSAs out there on the vaccines, and he's getting a lot more work. So it's like we're juggling that. Like we're a team of 3 here, and plus Haley. Don't forget Haley.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She's the reason we get the likes on the Instagram.
But I love when you talk about getting like our juices flowing, because we are nerds. And so I feel like you hear often on the show where we're talking about, oh my God, okay, I went down this rabbit hole the other day. Looking at the episode log since our last recap, what is one episode where you're like, ooh, I totally went down a rabbit hole on that one. I was like super excited about that topic.
Oh, nostalgia. Nostalgia for me was huge, to the point that I am going to start playing video games again. I'm really excited about this.
What does Matt think about that?
He's on board. He's totally on board. And so I'm really excited about it. But part of it had to do with, so as we were researching nostalgia, I, finding that its origins were like in Greek, Greek origins of the word and blah, 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 like all this stuff. I found that Assassin's Creed has a version set in ancient Greece. And that was my jam. Like, I failed world history in high school, but I excelled in ancient history in college. Like, I took every single ancient Greek class that I could get into. I also had a mad crush on my professor because he was just an amazing orator.
Well, I mean, if there's something nice to look at too while you're learning the things, it's always a plus.
I mean, smart is sexy, y'all. And this guy was so smart and he's so passionate about being able to talk about this. Like, he never had notes and just all this stuff. So like, I loved ancient Greek history. And so as I was researching nostalgia, it's like, wait, there's a video game that can take me to ancient Greece. Like, are you kidding me? So Ron and I had a whole conversation about this.
Are you gonna have a Twitch channel now?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
dear
We're
Lord.
going to collaborate. We're going to do this. I'm going to be on Twitch. He's like, all you need is a pretty girl, play video games. Like, our channel's going to blow up. I'm like, yes, finally I'll be internet famous. But I'm so excited about it because apparently Assassin's Creed also does this in other settings. But the best part is that
there's more.
They're historically accurate. And I'm like, wait, I can stand on the Acropolis? Are you kidding me? Why hasn't anybody told me this? So yes, so I am I'm going to start playing video games. I think more in 2022 is kind of where it's going, because the idea has not left me, and it has literally been months. And I had a chance to observe a video game. I think it was Ghosts of Siam. And I'm probably butchering all of that. Video games are beautiful. They're like artistic pieces of art that sounds stupid.
That was like artistic. Yes, that is the thing.
That is the thing. They're the art. Video games have really come a long way. I mean, I'm still a Galaga girl, and I like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario, Donkey Kong. Like, I need to like the Nintendo, like just up, down, left, right, X, Y, B, A. Like that's all I can handle. When you get like PlayStation or Xbox consoles where there's knobs and triggers, it's too much. It's too much.
It is a lot, but I'm willing to learn.
Well, good for you.
Because I want to
I'm glad,
experience these things.
Well, I'm glad I knew you before you become Twitch famous. But I would say for me, the one that I went ham on was the Hispanic Heritage episode.
Oh, you did.
I learned so
Melissa
much.
Robina.
Yeah, roll the R's, boo-boo. What I liked about it was growing up, as you may remember, listeners, like my abuelita was a huge advocate, or I shouldn't say advocate, loves Catholicism, loves the religion. She was Catholic and she practiced Santeria.
Staunch Catholic
Oh,
practitioner.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. But she also was like a priestess or something in Santeria, so I've been told. So it was just really interesting being able to kind of look into this episode. I felt a deep sense of connection with her, appreciation, because I think that, we don't really spend time getting those stories from our elders. And I really felt like I missed several opportunities because my grandmother, as she aged, had dementia, got diagnosed with dementia. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those stories were lost. So being able to piece together my research for this particular episode was just so cool, because I felt like she was like right there with me. And yeah, I loved it. I felt really connected with her for that.
Oh, that's nice. I think that having those connections, making it all that much more meaningful. I thought that was a fun episode. We had a lot of fun talking about Hispanic Heritage Month, and dear listeners, you may not know this, but I've been on this, we'll call it rampage, against the man.
Oh my God.
The last couple months.
Rampage is a very good word.
I'm trying to figure out how to decolonize like everything. And the more I see, you can't unsee it. And so I don't want to say I'm an angry Latina all the time, but I'm getting pretty close.
Okay, let's just talk about the fact that I think it was that episode where you called Matt a colonizer, and
I did.
I lost it. I was laughing so hard. And so even though you're trying to decolonize everything, you are like madly in love with a colonizer.
Yeah. But
None-
his people go back to the potato famine. So like, that's when they all immigrated over
I'm
here.
surprised that you can't trace them to like Plymouth, like the ship.
No,
Like,
no, I can trace his people back to Ireland in the 1800s.
no, but what I love though too, so I'd always wanted to give Cydia this shirt that says, because people mispronounce her name all the time. I wanted to get a shirt that says, it's Cydia. It's like Lydia, but with an S, because that's how she always,
That's how I used to describe it. Yes.
Yeah. And she's like, fuck that. Like, I'm not trying to, what did you say?
I'm not trying to anglicize my name anymore.
So I was like, okay.
She's like, okay. The look on Melissa's face when I said that, and I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, no, fuck that. Why am I trying to do that? So it's Cydia.
So don't get the shirt. Like, I'm just.
Don't get the shirt. Don't do that. I'm over here trying to do other things, and
So that episode sparked whatever City is going through right now.
I'm just reading a lot, and I'm reading. I just finished a couple weeks ago the history of the indigenous people's history of the United States, and that'll get you mad. Brown girls with sharp edges and tender hearts, that'll get you mad. Right now,
why are you trying to rile our listeners up?
Right now, I'm trying to, let's see, the book I'm on right now is, I'll pull it up here because it's a good one. Mediocre, The Dangerous Legacy of White Male America.
I don't even want to see what your reading
White
log
Fragility.
is.
Like I am on a kick right now, and that has to do with just you can't unsee it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, I see white supremacy and capitalism in everything. So I'm getting heated up just talking.
Yeah, I'm just
about
like,
it.
can you just? I just need you to simmer down. Okay, let me ask another question while it's but maybe not, because I was like, this kind of like fishtails or dovetails off of the last one, which is because we both love to learn. Is there an episode that we've dropped that you'd really like to even delve into a little bit further?
That is a really good question. I would say I'd like to go more into the burnout and more ways of really helping women with that, because I feel like that's something that is talked about a lot, but maybe people don't actually act on it as much until it's too late. Like, I'd like to be able to recognize more of those symptoms in myself and help others recognize that in themselves before they get to those points where you are burning everything down or just getting mad all the time.
No, I like that. I think for me, I was really torn between the inner dialogue episode and boundaries, like family rules and boundaries. Mm-hmm. Maybe boundaries just because that just happened so recently. For me, with my mother, we're better, but I think that's maybe why that episode's kind of surfacing for me, because it does tie into family roles of that, caretaker and establishing boundaries. But I really love social constructionism. So that inner dialogue for me, because I'm constantly in my head, and especially being diagnosed with ADHD, like the thoughts are always going. So it's like being more mindful and aware of what are those thoughts? Where do I let my mind go when it wanders? Are they positive or negative thoughts? And how is it impacting my actions and the decisions that I make? So I would love to learn more about that. So I think that I would love to take time to explore that further on my own.
I mean, to be honest, I think all of it is so interesting that I would love to go get a degree in psychology of some kind.
Well, that's what initially, I was like, that's what you initially wanted to go to school for.
Yes, that is what I wanted to do. And I'm still finding my way back to it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like, life has a way of bringing you back to where you're supposed to be. Even if you take a detour, like you initially had wanted to go to school for psychology, but I know that your father kind of persuaded you otherwise, right? And so you went into, the field of law. Mm-hmm. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a thing.
But now though, you're coming back to what gives you life, what gives you passion, what gives you purpose. And that has to do with the field of psychology. So I'm not surprised that you're back here.
Well, psychology, and I think that's why coaching is such a natural fit for me, because it really is this ability to champion my clients, have this greater understanding. And one of the cool things about coaching is that I might be coaching a client on their specific issue. And with self-management, you're not supposed to really talk about yourself during the coaching sessions, but sometimes they're working things out that are things that I'm like, oh yeah, I need to work that one out too. Or, I need the reminder. And so it's really cool. And so I think that along with the podcast too, because there are things that we'll talk about. And sometimes, I know you guys will be shocked by this, sometimes I don't get to do my research. But it's also nice to just be able to pull from the wealth of knowledge of my big, beautiful brain.
You do have a lot of knowledge. As the podcast continues to move forward, like what are some things that you're looking forward to?
I know we keep talking about this, but it's going to happen. I want to talk to more authors because we are both avid readers. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to be able to discuss people's works with them. And I see that happening. I see that happening in 2022.
Oh, no, I have like intention that we're going to be bringing some authors onto the show. I think that would be wonderful. I think that just like in anything in life, like you have to make adjustments. And I think that there were some really big adjustments for you and I personally and professionally that kind of required us to put some things on hold for the podcast. Mm-hmm. So, but I think now that we have a better grasp and a better handle of what's going on in our lives, I think that now there will be opportunities to invite authors onto the show.
Wait, we have a grasp of our lives?
Well, I mean,
do I? Damn.
Loosely.
Okay. I was like, damn, all right.
The show is over. We don't need to do this anymore.
We're done. Okay.
Oh my. No, I would love to do that. So I know that this episode's going to be dropping at the end of the year. So mm-hmm. I just randomly picked a question.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a reflection question. When during podcasting have you felt most connected to your purpose, and what effect did this sense of connection have on you and the podcast?
I would say I feel most connected to podcasting.
Or your purpose in podcasting.
Yeah, the purpose in podcasting, when we're able to give a clear message, but also championing. Like I'm really big on championing, and I know that if you are listening to this podcast, you are more capable than you think you are. And I feel like that's one of my superpowers is I see people's potential. And I see a lot of their potential and just like what they could do. And I get really excited about that. So when we're able to talk about things to really help people get out of your own fucking way, like that's something that I've had to learn to do. And I know that, it's something that you're learning to do too. And once we're able to do that, man, like there's so much magic on the other side that I just get really excited about it.
I love the smile on your face. Yeah, you are super excited.
I'm a
nerd. I would say, like initially, I know when we first talked about doing the podcast, I really was wanting to have like this like notion of legacy. I want to leave it like a positive footprint because, I don't have kids, and that's something, again, another episode that we dropped, just me kind of exploring what that was like for me. And so not having kids, I really struggled with this sense of legacy. So I feel that during podcasting, able to connect with my purpose because when you and we did a strategic plan recently, shortly after we attended She Podcast, and we did the 5 Why exercise. Fabulous. If you haven't, you have to go and like check City out. She walked us through this exercise. It was fabulous, we started with like, I think the topic was living an empowered life, because this is something we want our listeners, right? We want our listeners to live an empowered life. And it's like, okay, well, why is that important? So we asked ourselves why, 5 different times. And down at the very bottom, like I remember writing this down, which was like, I matter / I exist. And I felt that was so important because I do matter. My stories matter. And that's been reflected on some of the personal things that I've shared here, because people have connected with me because they've gone through something similar. So, just like I matter, so do our listeners. Every person matters. And the journey that you're on is a story to be shared and to be celebrated. And so I feel like that's like when I'm most connected, is being able to share and amplify those stories in this medium.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. And you do matter.
Absolutely.
I matter. You matter. You listener, you matter. And I think that's something that we all want as human beings. We all want to feel like we came here with some sort of purpose and that we're able to have an impact. And I think we do. That's it for this episode. Find us on Instagram at Pivotal Moments HQ for all the BTS and sister-like banter you know and love. We want to thank our producer and music director, Ron Johnson. This has been an Astronomicus DMR and Pug Productions podcast.